When we suspect a patient to be having bronchial asthma or reversible airway obstruction, it is imperative that we confirm the diagnosis. There are two methods. One is to do a peak flowmetry and then send them for pulmonary function testing, or straight away do a pulmonary function testing. It is essential that all of us possess the simple equipment, the peak flow meter in our clinics. The peak flow meter will be a very important tool in our kit, just like our BP apparatus or our stethoscope. The peak flow meter is a basic tool in our office practice. It is not very expensive. It will be around 1500 to 2000 rupees, like a good stethoscope or BP apparatus. But it gives a wonderful information. The diagnosis of asthma can be suspected by demonstrating the presence of airway obstruction using a peak flow meter. If the peak flow is less than 80% of the predicted for the age and sex, then we can say, okay, this patient is having airway obstruction. Then the question is it reversible airway obstruction? What is the degree of airway obstruction? So, all these things can be answered by referring the patient for the higher test or the gold standard test, the pulmonary function test using spirometry. Nonetheless, peak flow meter will aid as a screening tool for us to select patients who can be referred for spirometry. So, I urge all of you to buy one peak flow meter and use it routinely for those patients in whom you suspect the diagnosis of reversible airway obstruction or bronchial asthma. The next slide will illustrate us about the spirometry. The diagnostic gold standard test is the spirometry or the pulmonary function testing. Nowadays, the pulmonary function testing is computerized totally, and all we need is around 5 to 10 minutes of our time to carefully do the test. Remember, unlike taking an ECG or X-ray chest, this is not that simple. Here, the patient's participation, giving the best effort by the patient, is most crucial in conducting a pulmonary function test and in interpreting it. The diagnosis of asthma can be confirmed by demonstrating the presence of reversible airway obstruction using spirometry. Here, the steps are: the first step, the patient is explained about the test and what is supposed to do. Then, he is asked to keep the pipe of the spirometry into his mouth and then take a deep inspiration and then hold the breath for a short while. Then when we say blow fast and hard, the patient will blow into the pipe as hard and as fast and as quick as he can. When that is being done, the computer records the expiratory flow. Then at the end of completion of expiration, patient will again suck back it through the tube to produce the inspiratory loop. So, the first component will be the expiratory loop and then will be the inspiratory loop. So, patient first has to take a deep inspiration, hold the breath for a second, blow as fast and as hard as he can and as long as he can. When he cannot breathe out anymore, then he breathes in very powerfully again through the tube, producing the entire loop of expiration and inspiration, graph being recorded on the computer screen here, which we can take an interpretation and print out in the form of pulmonary function report. So, this is in a nutshell how a patient does a pulmonary function testing. Remember, we have to take at least 3 measurements for every patient, and then the computer will decide which is the best of the 3, or we can ourselves mark, okay, this effort is the best clinically I feel. So, we can say that as the best effort and take as a printout. But of course, to check the reversibility, if the patient is giving a normal pulmonary function testing, there is no need to check the reversibility. If the patient shows obstructive element or obstructive airway disease or restrictive airway disease in the pulmonary function testing, then we give him bronchodilator, inhalation of salbutamol through a nebulizer for about 10 to 15 minutes, and after that a 10 minutes of rest period, Then again the pulmonary function test is repeated to see whether the parameters have improved, whether there is any reversibility in the obstructive element or not. Then we can classify the patient as reversible airway obstruction, partially reversible airway obstruction, irreversible airway obstruction. What are the important results that we have to look, which we have to interpret in the PFT test? Fundamentally, forced vital capacity, also called as FVC, and the most important one being forced expiratory volume in the first second, and the third one is a ratio of the above two, FEV1 divided by FVC. Normally, we must expel at least 80% or more of our vital capacity in the first second. So, the FEV1 should be at least 80% of the total vital capacity. Remember, the FVC and the FEV1 they are not absolute values. They are related to the patient's age, sex and other parameters and to the predicted value. Then we have another test report, the peak expiratory flow rate and then the forced expiratory time. Normally, when we start expiring forcibly, we should complete the entire expiration within 4 seconds. If the forced expiratory time is prolonged, then it is indicative of airway obstruction. In the subsequent slide, we will see the interpretation of this test. Remember, fundamentally we have FVC, FEV1, FEV1 by FVC ratio, forced expiratory flow rate or the peak expiratory flow rate and then the forced expiratory time. As far as the spirometry values are concerned, there are nothing like normal values or fixed normals, like normal blood pressure, normal blood sugar, normal blood urea, things like that. There is no normal fixed pulmonary function value of the spirometry. These values depend on the age of the patient, the gender, his height and weight and the ethnicity. So, each PFT report, we need to feed in this data, the age of the patient, the gender, the height, weight and the ethnicity, and the computer gives an interpretation based on what is predicted for that particular patient. So, that is what is called the predicted value, and the observed value is always expressed as the percentage of the predicted value. So, the interpretation here, FVC is considered normal if it is at least 80% or more of the predicted value for that patient. FEV1 is considered as normal if it is more than 80% of the predicted value for that particular patient. Then the ratio FEV1 by FVC should be at least 75%. Peak expiratory flow rate, it should be at least 80% of the predicted value. Forced expiratory time, I told you it should be less than 4 seconds. If the expiratory time is prolonged beyond 4 seconds, it suggests expiratory airway obstruction. So, it is important for us to remember that there are no normal values. The values of any pulmonary function test depend on the variables like age, gender, height, weight and ethnicity, and all the values are expressed as percentage of the predicted value, and the values are considered normal as long as the obtained values or observed values are at least 80% of the predicted values. If they are less than 80% predicted values, then of course we have to classify the patient as obstructive airway disease, and depending upon how much it is, 60% or 50% or 40%, the severity of the pulmonary function obstruction can also be quantified. Among all the tests, FEV1 is the most crucial of all. FEV1 is forced expiratory volume in the first second. Normally, we must expire at least 80% or more of the total volume within the first second itself. That is, normal subjects more than 80% in the first second. whereas in asthmatics it will be around 40% or 50% in the first second. So, they will take more time to exhale the remaining part, and the FET may be prolonged beyond 4 seconds. Whereas, if you challenge the patient, if you try to relieve the bronchial obstruction using an inhaled bronchodilator and repeat the test for reversibility, then in reversible airway obstruction, a patient who has got 40% FEV1 in the first second may improve to 60% or 70%. In some patients, it may even become normal after the bronchodilator. So, a normal FEV1 is at least 80% or more of the expired volume in the first second, and obstructed value is anything less than 80%, and we need to demonstrate reversibility by doing the test before and after the bronchodilator and see that there is an improvement, either total or partial, in the amount of obstruction. Remember, all the pulmonary function test values are dependent on at least 3 efforts, and the best of the 3 efforts represents the patient's actual value. Unlike ECG or taking an X-ray or doing any other blood test, here the patient's cooperation is of utmost importance, and we need to explain the patient beforehand how to do the test and also demonstrate by taking a deep breath and then making a forceful expiration and again taking a deep inspiration, and then ask him to repeat exactly the same maneuver whenever we instruct him to do so. And patient compliance, patient understanding is utmost crucial in making a pulmonary function test interpretable. Otherwise, the results may be very skewed and may become totally irrelevant to the patient's clinical condition and uninterpretable. As far as pulmonary function abnormalities are concerned, we will be getting 2 classes of patients: those who have predominant obstructive features, those who have predominant restrictive features, and those who have a mixture of both, obstructive versus restrictive. Now, if you want to differentiate between obstructive and restrictive, this table will help us. In the normal individual, there is no problem in inhaling or exhaling the air. Air out is expiration, air in is inhalation, both are normal. The FVC, forced vital capacity, is 80% of the predicted or more. FEV1, forced expiratory volume in first second, is 80% of the predicted or more. FEV1 by FVC is at least 75%. PEFR is 80% or more of the predicted value. Forced expiratory time in seconds is less than 4. All these are the normal values. Whereas in an obstructive case, the problem is the patient is unable to get the air out. This is an air out problem or expiratory problem. The FVC may be normal or decreased. FEV1 is surely less than 80% or less, or even less. FEV1 by FVC ratio will be less than 70%. PEFR will be less than 80%. Expiratory time will be prolonged by more than 4 seconds. Whereas in a pure restrictive lung disease due to emphysema, due to other various causes of restriction of the lung, then the problem is with the air in, that is, the patient is not able to fill the air into the lung, but the expiration is all right. So, this is a air in problem wherein the total lung capacity is decreased, there is a decrease in the FVC. FEV1 will strangely be normal because there is no airflow obstruction while he is exhaling or expiring or blowing out. FEV1 by FVC ratio is either normal or increased. PEFR, peak expiratory flow rate, is normal and expiratory time is within normal limits of 4 seconds and it is not prolonged. This is how we distinguish a patient of obstructive disease from restrictive disease, and this is the pattern in normal individuals. So, this table in a way summarizes the interpretation of pulmonary function test results.